Hi guys, some Gamer Dude here. Interestingly enough, I never covered the Dragon Ball Super card game. I believe I briefly mentioned it, saying I was neither here nor there because it's a Duel Masters clone, but in the last week I've picked it up. I've given it a few rolls on Untap so far, enough to get a good bearing for the game, and I wanted to talk about it. I wanted to review it. For those who aren't familiar with the Dragon Ball Super card game, let's go through a basic rundown. I'll be referencing other games a lot, because the game wears its influences on its sleeve. A player's deck is composed of 1 leader card and a 50 card deck. The objective of the game is to reduce your opponent's life to 0. The life system in this game is very close to Duel Masters' shield system. In that game, both players placed 5 cards in front of them. You had to destroy all 5 of your opponent's shields. When they were destroyed, they went to your opponent's hand and then attack them directly for game. The difference here is the Dragon Ball Super has 8 life. The shield trigger mechanic from Duel Masters, which I didn't mention, but it doesn't exist here and probably won't, because unlike Duel Masters, this game has an instant speed effect type card. Likewise, when you attack, you don't choose what life you hit, but your opponent can choose what life they take, and you don't have to attack them at 0 for game, just reduce them to 0. The leader isn't terribly dissimilar to Force of Will's Ruler. It too is a double-faced card that starts the game in play. The main difference is Dragon Ball Super is a much more aggressive game. So the front side can attack, and it plays a large influence in the battle system. It can also only cast Judgment, here called Awaken, when you hit a certain life remaining instead of paying for it directly. This is the same as Vanguard's Limit Break mechanic, and so far most every backside has a way to draw cards due to other mechanics. Likewise, most leaders refill the hand when they awaken. The deck has 2 types of cards, Battle and Extra. Battle cards are your creatures from any other game of this type. They have attack values. Like Duel Masters, they only have 1 for battle directly, though they have another for a second mechanic. They have specific costs like Magic and Force of Will, the game having 4 colours in its colour pie. Effects are the standard fare for this type of game. Permanent is your continuous ability, auto is your triggered ability, and activate is what it says on the box. Unlike most games of this genre, there is no summoning sickness for creature type cards, the battle cards. Extra are your spell type cards. Activate are your sorcery, and counter are your instant. Some battle cards also have counter effects. But interestingly enough, both Counter Extra and Activate Extra tell you under what circumstances you can use them. They're very rigid like this. On a more mechanical level, the game also has a variant of the shield mechanic from Vanguard, here called Combo, wherein when you attack, when you block, and when you are attacked, you can add the value on the side of cards from your field and hand to the attacking, attacked, or blocking card. Some cards have costs to do this, usually come with a 10,000 combo in this case, and it's a very procedural case of when you attack, you use your 1 attack abilities, your opponent then may use blocker, then you may combo, then your opponent may combo. It's not a back and forth. Super already has its own Sentinel equivalency word to boot, but this card is very different from Perfect Guards. Mulligan is straight from Vanguard, shuffle in what you don't want for the same amount. Super has the evolution mechanic from Duel Masters, where you overlay battle cards with stronger versions of the same card at a lower cost. Unlike Duel Masters, you can play them at their original cost as well. You don't have to take the -1. The freeform battle phase, main phase, is straight from Force of Will. Lastly, the colour pie is very Magic inspired. Yellow is Magic's blue, blue is Magic's green, green is Magic's black, and lastly red is red. There is no white equivalency. In the third set, there is a new black colour, which is their version of colourless, void, artifacts, etc. Since the game was announced, I've gone through a flurry of emotions. Excited when it was first announced, down when I really did not enjoy Final Fantasy, which too is another Duel Masters clone, something the market has too many of except Duel Masters, curious when a friend spoke highly of it, and dubious when I finally noticed it doesn't have summoning sickness. But I was pleasantly surprised. It does a lot right, more than I'd expect. I really expected the game to have a breakneck speed and be unruly because of the lack of summoning sickness. But the fact most 1-drops can't do jack aggressively, and you have the shield mechanic from Vanguard to protect yourself, it's controllable and unnoticeable. It can be fast, but it doesn't feel too fast. It also goes to show how much impact the leader has. Between the ability to defend yourself and life being at 8, the game feels to be of a brisk but acceptable speed. The aggressive and defensive combo mechanic adds a strategic element I didn't really expect. You have to think about whether you want to push, whether they can just cancel it with an attack negate, whether they can combo over it. How hard you should push and how much you should hold back for your opponent's turn has to be thought about. This plays in tandem with the game having Force of Will's main phase battle phase system, which means you have to plan ahead, unlike Magic and Duel Masters, wherein the battle phase is done and dusted. It's not the hardest decisions in the world, this is not UFS, but it adds a nice layer of complexity, as does the game having instant speed spells in the form of extras with counter effects. The game has enough strategy to keep the adult mind entertained, but is child friendly enough for kids. That is a massive boon in its favour. For now, it also seems really balanced within its sets, though one colour has severe issues so far. Effects are placed nicely on cards with the right costs. I haven't noticed any power creep in raw numbers or really oppressive cards at low drops. The colour pie doesn't seem to have much blur and seems well formed. The designers so far seem to be doing a good job. Yes, the meta does seem to be favouring one deck at a given time. As of recording this, Shenron's Lair has a 50% use rate of Super Saiyan Blue Goku leader, but Frieza, Vegeta, 17 and Cell all have good appearances too, and from what I understand, Goku only got good in the second set. This is actually the one from the starter deck too. He took the hint. He got good. Likewise, reading the articles on the Mothership site gives me the impression the developers have a plan and are trying to have each archetype they create have enough support to be playable, using splashable cards to fill out the rest and flesh out the deck. Coming from Force of Will, the grand central station of disappointment that it is, this is a very nice turn. I feel confident from what I've read. The game is by and far better than Final Fantasy. There isn't really a comparison. It doesn't feel as drab, samey, and dull. I think this is because of everything super merges and being a much more dynamic game. That's what makes it a better experience. It's not fresh, but it's also not stale. It's a good place. I might also argue that, for now, the game is arguably better than its components. It's more strategic than Duel Masters, has better designers than Force of Will, and doesn't seem to have massive imbalances and favoritism that Vanguard had at the same time in its life. The game is also really enjoyable. I don't think it's far-fetched to say it's one of the better post-Vanguard games. It also seems to have learned from older games. For example, a really good example is Whis the Resting Attendant, being Bronze Arm Tribe from Duel Masters at Blue 2 instead of the Green 2 Bronze Arm Tribe was. Dragon Ball Super ticks a lot of the right boxes. The people behind it seem to know what they're doing, and the game is fun. Even the Super Rares aren't that hard to pull with a 1 in 3 pack ratio, or 8 of 14 total Super Rares in a box of 24 boosters. It's very generous. It's also holding value as the game isn't being overproduced, and with Bandai's Dash Pack promos, they are incentivizing buying boosters over singles. This doesn't, however, make the game flawless. There are a few things. I don't like the cost box. It's not straightforward like Magic and Force of Will. It's total and the cards you must include in the payment. But at first glance, it reads as colourless plus specifics, like Force of Will and Magic, especially Force of Will. It's very easy at first glance to read the cards, let's go back to Whis. It's very easy to read Whis as Blue 4 instead of the Blue 2. It really is. I'm not sure how no one picked this up in designing, but it's very confusing coming from any other game. It seems to me someone was trying to be different for the sake of being different, not logical reasons. The looks of the cards, while significantly better than the eye-bleedingly bright Kaijudo, isn't the most mature template. I get it, kids are the primary demographic, but Yu-Gi-Oh!, Duel Masters, Magic, Vanguard, even Pokemon, all kids games, yes, even Magic is a kids game, all more dignified templates. It's not a major thing, again, it still leaps and bounds beyond kindergarten Kaijudo, but it's definitely got that kiddie vibe. I mentioned colour issues before. This is because red doesn't really work due to life going to the hand and the very nature of the leader. You'll see statistics and asking around about this in the game forums. Red is garbage. It goes for a rush, systematically increasing the opponent's hand, then tries to finish the opponent off with burn. Except the burn is too costly, slow, or hard to do. I get it, red could be way too consistent if left go wild and become a problem, but it's suffering because of it. Set 2 is going for a mass attack variant to finish them off with Super Ghost Kamikaze attack creating tokens, and the 5-drop Gotenks doing the same and giving the tokens a buff. but it doesn't have the Gotenks leader it needs to get anywhere, as the green promo Gotenks is too fidgety and there isn't a really low cost Gotenks. The promos also have a cost problem. They probably should be as desirable as they are to keep a tendency up, but they're also unique and make decks either slightly better or significantly better. It could eventually warp the game around one card and is already giving the vibe of have and have nots, in spite of the ease of pulling super rares. It won't be the most major thing if Bandai keeps them strong but balanced and has answers to them. You don't necessarily need them just yet for high competitive play, but could easily become a problem, and they are pricey with a very limited supply. They are already becoming a problem to a couple of playstyles, as these playstyles are virtually unplayable without the promos, but these aren't commonly played leaders, so the problem is mitigated by that. I'm talking more a staple in everything becoming an issue, which Black honestly runs the risk of doing. Lastly, Dragon Ball Super, it doesn't feel like Dragon Ball. It doesn't feel like the slug out with punches, kicks, and key attacks. It feels like Duel Masters or Magic of Force of Will with the Dragon Ball Z skin. It could literally be anything. I could change all the Arden names to all Duel Masters cards in GIMP and it'd change nothing. It doesn't take away or add anything to the game, but it's noticeable when playing the game. I don't feel like whoever my leader is, being assisted by all my friends or whatever. It feels like I'm summoning creatures and have a main familiar. The similar feeling to what Force of Will gives. In my opinion, it takes away from the license. It makes it pointless, and it's a damn shame too, because the game is good. If it had just been about anything else and wasn't licensed, this problem could have been averted. With the game being licensed and Super ending next month, spoilers, Super, the series is ending in Japan, I just worry now this game isn't going to stand the test of time. Bandai does not have a good track record outside of Naruto. The game is doing Tournament of Power in May, it's already done all of Z, except for like Garlic Jr. Next set it's done half of GT, and we're touching Dragon Ball. The Broly, Cooler, and Android 13 movies have all been done or will be done next set. Even episode of Bardock and Bardock Father of Goku are being done in Set 3, Xenoverse 2. What's left for Set 4 Plus? Movies 1 through 4, Bojack Fusion and Wrath, Super 17 and the Shadow Dragons, Hey Yo Goku, History of Trunks. Ball only seems to have the first two sets so far in Set 3, so Red Ribbon, Barba, Ten Shinhan, and the two Piccolos are left. Frankly, the game only seems to have enough content to last maybe 8 sets total till you repeat characters en masse. Will people really be interested at that point? I hope so. It's a good game, and I don't think having covered everything is worth ending the game over. You can just do what ifs and whatnot, but will players stay for that? I'm probably worrying too much. It is a significant amount of content left, and Bandai is the master license holder. They have access to everything, including the recent Fighter Z and the upcoming Super movie. Theoretically, the series is meant to return or have a sequel series. We could just get what if scenarios too, or themed sets. Likewise, the game is going all over the world, it's in demand and is successful. There is no reason to kill it just yet. Overall, I think Dragon Ball Super is a strong game. Definitely worth playing. It's fun, dynamic, familiar, but not stale. The licensed nature of the game and Bandai's track record of cutting games short leaves some concerns, but I think the success of the game and it now heading to all markets helps alleviate some of that concern. The developers seem to be on ball to boot. Promos are a bit of an issue, but if they don't get to staple status across the board and are kept balanced, everything should be fine. Red will hopefully balance out in time, as they should eventually find something to spruce it up without making it too consistent. There might be more issues with it that eventuate, or I don't see until I become more invested into it, but I recommend it. I think this game has potential. This has been Some Gamer Dude. Don't forget to like or subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.